on one of the interviews that I read from with you was on Yahoo, and you said something along the lines that, um, you were very close at one point in your life from looking at running and looking at diabetes and going the wrong way in the fork in the road
Yeah.
and becoming a victim of diabetes. And what does a victim of diabetes mean to you, and what does the other side of the fork actually look like?
Um, like a lot of type ones, even to this day, it's very tempting to feel like, you got handed a bag of worms when everybody else got candy. And that's legitimate. Nobody asked for this disease, and it's okay to feel bad about getting it. But if you entertain uh, that feeling of justifiable indignation and upset for too long, it becomes the object of your focus.
Hmm.
And the very things that you wanted, that you feel were taken away by the disease, will be taken away by the disease at some point in the future if you don't sort of meet it on its terms.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a long distance swimmer as well, and one of the things that my swim buddy and training partner Scott likes to say is that the water does not judge and the water does not forgive.
Hmm.
And I feel like type 1 is the same way. Type 1 is not looking down over its shoulder going, "You're a bad boy today. You had bad glucose control. You're not going to make it. You can't handle this."
Hmm.
Um, it's not saying that. You're saying that. And I think it's important to realize you can also will yourself into a state of mind where you view it like any other problem that needs to be broken down into pieces. And yes, the stakes are higher. Yes, if you screw up badly, you might not wake up again tomorrow. So be careful. Um, but giving up, what good will come of that?
Hmm.
And I was, for the longest time, consumed with this idea that I didn't deserve to be treated this way by life. And I was going to have my revenge by basically eating at Cheesecake Factory.
Hmm.
And it reminds me of I think it was an old Mad magazine cover where um, this guy had a cartoon of this guy pointing a gun at a dog's head and said, "Buy this magazine or the dog gets it." Um,
I
it, it
remember that one. I think I've seen that one.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a false perspective.
Hmm.
This idea that but you can get back at diabetes by hurting yourself.
Hmm.
It's not a thing. It's a situation. Compare it to a bad day at work or surviving a car accident or having
Hmm.
to have a liver transplant. You don't see people going, "Well, you know what? I'm just not going to take my anti-rejection drugs. I'm going to die tomorrow."
Hmm.
There are a few people who do that, and God bless them. I feel for their suffering, but that's
Hmm.
not a way out.
Right.
And I guess I kind of felt like I had been shown what my options were when I was told about the proliferative retinopathy that I had. And they said at that time, it was a few years back, the laser treatment was the recommended clinical best practice, I guess. I guess now they do an anti-inflammatory injection in the eye, Lucentis or something like that. Um, and maybe that's the company, I don't know. But back then, they laser coagulated the blood vessels that were leaking lipids into the eye, and you get a little burn spot in the back of your retina that you never got to see out of again. And one little burn spot, it's pretty easy to kind of it's like looking at a star. They don't show up when you look right at them, but you look to one side and they twinkle. But this prognosis that if I didn't change something, that it was going to be a lot more little blind spots until the cure for not going blind from diabetes was going blind from laser treatments. And I kind of felt like, you know what? It's still scary to go out and be physically active. I have better tools now than I had before, but I have more knowledge than I had before. But it's much better to face that demon than to run straight into the arms of complications. And I guess I kind of felt like either way it could go bad, but I would take my chances on exercise. And that
Mhm.
was a big decision for me because I was that diabetic who was scared, insert expletive here, Liz, that I would die in my sleep. And, that's still something that crosses my mind off and on.
Mhm.
But, sooner or later, everybody dies. And you just kind of don't want it to be for stupid reasons. And you do your best you can to manage things.
Wow. That was a beautiful answer and almost like expose on what it means to, live with diabetes and not against it.
Yeah, or choosing not to live with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad you guys get it. That means a lot.
well, it's like I feel like, especially if you have a CGM, but even if you don't, being diabetic, you're literally looking at your number all the time, and it's literally a game. Like if it was a video game, that is a number that if that hits zero, it's game over. And so, as a diabetic, you're always looking death in the face. And like you said, we're all gonna die. It's just most people don't think about death as much as maybe a diabetic has to. And
Yeah,
and it's almost like if you're gonna die, like why not lean into it and try to live the best life you can and manage
exactly.
it and live with it, opposed to ignoring it and making a self-fulfilling cycle and prophecy.
Yeah. Well, and it's, the people that love you and care about you want the best for you. And it's, in a way, it's punishment to them to seek
Mm,
an outcome that you know will go badly.
mm-hmm.
And maybe that puts you out of your pain, but it doesn't put them out of theirs. And I don't know. I don't know that I'm qualified to go into the thoughts of what is mentally healthy and what's not. But
Mm,
I know as you guys do that living with it that you have to make a decision. I don't want to say take charge because that makes it sound like somebody's walking in with cowboy breeches and the new sheriff in town.
mm-hmm.
But accepting responsibility, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for at least the things that you do,
Right,
and accepting that the things that you have no control over, you don't have control over.
right. Yeah, it's taking taking responsibility, I think is a theme of it. And I was even um talking with a patient today about it because he was asking me about my insulin pump and things like that. And you know owning up to what you can and what you can't, and almost acknowledging what you can't control is almost as empowering as owning up and taking responsibility of what you can, because then it gives you the freedom to say it's not up to me, and takes the stress off you. Say it's like there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, I once told a friend that I figured out that stress, at least psychological stress, comes from an incomplete ability to influence outcomes. And by that, I mean, if you have the complete ability to influence outcomes, you determine the outcomes. Why are you stressed? I mean, you're in control.
Hmm.
If you have no ability to influence the outcome, why would you be stressed? You're not in control.
Right.
It's when you're somewhat in control and you're supposed to
Hmm.
be doing something and you don't know what it is that
Hmm.
people feel kind of stressed out about things.
Right.
And, that's the hard part. Diabetes sets the expectation that there's something you're supposed to be doing, and your endo is pretty sure that's not what it is. Whatever it is you're doing, you're pretty sure that that's what it should have been, but it didn't give you the outcome you wanted.
Hmm.
And your buddies are like, I don't know, what did you do? I don't know. Ask Susan, what'd she do?
Hmm.
And you kind of arrive at consensus, by consensus at what a practical standard is for best practices in diabetes management. And as my wife likes to say, that's a hell of a way to run the railroad.